like a real love, but it goes so fast. All tied up like a captive. I'm on to you. Used to pay to my life, standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I don't felt this in ages, and I've no more patience. So won't you please stay a bit longer? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay a bit longer. You're making me stronger, making me stronger. You're stronger.
Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. 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 You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Hello and welcome back. It is Bez Racing Team Season 4, Round 8. We've got Hungaroring today. Did you miss us? I know you did. Once again, I am on my own today. I am Reagan, commentating for you. But I was finally able to set up our AI Steven chatbot, so I will finally have someone to talk to as artificial as they are. So Steven, how are you doing today?
Reagan, I am doing well. I appreciate you asking. I am so excited to join you at this track. Very excited to see some great racing from all of the drivers, such as Brenham and Carl.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steven. Technology these days, huh? It really can do everything.
Indeed, technology is great. Again, I am very excited to be here at this track with Bez Racing Team and you, Reagan, who are such a superior commentator to me, Steven.
Steven, you shouldn't have. That is such a nice thing for the real authentic Steven to say.
Yes.
Alright. What do we got going here? We got some drivers. Steven, I've been doing most of the talking the last 3 days. Why don't you talk?
Oh, the last 3 days. Are you sure? You're sure I'm the AI chatbot here?
Well, yeah, exactly. My, as soon as the race ends, I kind of just go into hibernation for the next 2 weeks, just kind of waiting, thinking about the next time that I get to commentate for all the viewers here. So, I finally am released from my cage for another couple hours, but I know the world may actually be going on in the background for everyone else.
Yeah, you're frothing at the mouth to commentate, almost as if you were quite hungry, you could say.
Well, actually, it's a little scarier than that. I got bit by a raccoon about a year ago, and I've been having some very scary thoughts. Very afraid of water at this point. So hopefully it's just an excitement for the race and not anything more sinister than that.
Yeah, those Canada raccoons, I know they are quite aggressive, which is surprising because the Canadian population as a whole, very kind, very nice people, but the raccoons up there, I mean, they are just on something else, let me tell you.
Well, you take the raccoons and you double that aggression and you put it into the geese. I mean, that's really what happens. The only reason the Canadians are so nice is because all of our anger is funneled into our animals. So that's why the humans get to be nice, while the Canadian geese get to just attack you for looking at them the wrong way.
What do you think would happen to the aggression levels if scientists were able to create a Canadian raccoon goose hybrid, a ragoose, if you will?
A ragoose? I think that would be pretty bad for the world as a whole. That is not something I think anyone wants to see. That was a good curry. That is, I think people would rather see that curry than a ragoose.
I don't know about that. Maybe we'll have to find a way to make a poll in the chat.
Hey,
I know
that was a good curry. If anyone in this chat would rather see a ragoose than eat my cooking, I'll be a little disappointed.
Maybe you'll have to make a curry with some ragoose meat.
Ew.
I don't know. Could be tasty. But you know what I want to see more than your cooking, Reagan? I want to see somebody else on top of the time boards other than Oystein Brenham, who, since I've been gone and missed the last few races, has not won everything, which I was very pleased to see.
Yeah, he actually he's lost 2 races since you left. It's insane.
Wait, 2?
We see. Were you there? Were you there at Misano?
I was there at Misano. I was not there.
You were there at
it was Silverstone, Kyalami, and Imola that I missed.
Imola, yes, and it was Imola that Pashov, currently second on the timetables, was able to win. So we're second and third place at the moment, the only 2 drivers able to beat Brenham in a race this season, and in any race that Brenham has participated in.
Yeah, no, excellent feats for those 2 drivers. Since I was gone, do you want to give me a quick recap of the last couple races?
Oh God, you think I remember anything like more than 5 seconds after the race ends? Silverstone. Brenham got hit early on and had a nice recovery drive. Darren Chan got a penalty, but I guess I don't need to say that. We can just assume. Ooh, sorry, Darren. No, I think he did better at Imola, and in fact, I know he did better at Imola. He got a drive-through, but he got no contact, which was good for him. I think Kyalami was also a better race for him, if I'm remembering correctly. So Darren improving, still has the pace, improving the racecraft, which is great to see. Harl did well. Tyler got distant second place in one of them. I don't remember, man. Jeez Louise. Let me go on simracing.gp. See if maybe this will stimulate my brain, my mostly unstimulated brain.
Yeah, I think Tyler's been somehow been able to predict the races I would not be there at, because I think he was there for the 3 races I was gone at. But I don't think he was there at any races before, and he's gone for today.
So Silverstone. Oh yes, Silverstone. Okay, so yeah, he was not there at Silverstone, I don't believe. But that was a good race. Paul Krobs had a great race there, finishing in second. Magnus had a decent race. Darren finished in 7th, a really solid race for him. Jajay in 9th. Walters had a bit of a stumble in 8th place. But Brenham ran away with that one after a rough start. Had some contact, but then made his way back through the field and won comfortably. We've got Kyalami. I'm just looking at the simracing.gp standings, or race results, so I'm ignoring penalties here. We had Oystein just ran away with it, like no competition. Tyler with a very distant second, but also a comfortable lead on Richard Walters in third. Richard with a great race. Johansson in fourth. Jaje winning for the AMs. Marcus Ness with a big performance in the silvers, finishing in seventh. And anything else important there? Bosman with another solid second place. Kurt with a third place. And finally, we've got Imola. And Pashov won there after Brenham had a very rough start, including a spin. That is important. Ooh. This is maybe the biggest news. Brenham spun, and no one else was around. He just spun.
Interesting.
Like he just spun. He made a mistake. We saw Oystein Brenham make a mistake. That is maybe the most mind-blowing thing that has ever happened. He did have some damage on his car before that mistake from contact that I don't believe was his fault, but I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Pashov and Nordell fighting it out. This says that Nordell came in third and Brenham came in second. I don't remember that. I thought Nordell came in second. But regardless, yeah. This is saying Pashov won. Pashov did win. Great race for him. Carl in either second or third. Babin in fourth. So he did show up. And Kurt Peters with a big silver win. Paul Krabs with a rough race. Just a bit off pace. Scott Brewer, a new name, finished second in the silver class. That was nice to see. And yeah, Richard Walters. Oh yeah, Richard, he disconnected in qualifying.
Oh, dang.
Which was very unfortunate. Yes, Nordell was P3 after a last-minute drive-through. Thank you, I forgot about that. Yes, Nordell did finish in third, which is unfortunate because he and Pashov were having a nice little race there for P1, but Pashov able to hold out.
Well, I appreciate that. And speaking of Pashov, my wish came true for another driver on top. Pashov was able to get into first place here by about 2.5 tenths. No, exactly 2.5 tenths. A quarter of a second is another way to say that. Brenham, we were watching him while you were talking, Reagan, and even pulled up a replay to see if there was an obvious mistake. He was showing an improvement of 3 or 4 tenths on a previous lap, so he was going to reclaim P1, but across the line, he did not improve. So I couldn't see anything obvious on the replay that would have indicated why he lost so much time, but was not able to improve, unfortunately. So Pashov, it looks like as we come to the end of the session in a couple minutes, will remain top of practice, which is exciting. One thing I was going to bring up for Brenham, I would be curious to look at, maybe we'll do it right now since he's on track. I want to see what kind of TC he uses, traction control that he uses, because I've been seeing that kind of the meta at the moment is using TC0 in most cars, using no traction control, just because apparently with some recent update, it's not as easy to lose the rear end, and with that kind of like immediate throttle application, you can really get some good times on the board. But we see Brenham using TC2. I wonder if he was maybe using TC0 when he spun at Imola, but that's really all I can think of. We don't usually see a genuine mistake from Brenham.
Well, it was pouring rain at Imola. That's one thing I forgot to mention. It was the race started in flooded conditions, so that certainly played a factor. I'm seeing a lot of drivers with TC2, which is lower than I am used to, but nobody at TC0.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe something these drivers will be playing around with soon. But yeah, I think it was even. Oh, why can't I think of his name? What's the developer of ACC that sometimes makes like YouTube videos and stuff?
Niklos? Is that it?
No, that's the guy that does ACC TV.
What is
I'm
it?
gonna try and that did
And
not.
while you're doing that, we do. You spoke a bit too soon, as we do have Oystein Brenham back on the top of the timing tables. We've got a bit of a two-horse race here for that first position in practice, as both Pashov and Brenham are over a second faster than third place Carl Nordell. Eris, thank
Yeah,
you.
yep, I just found that, and yeah, we have a confirmation in the chat. It's Eris, who I was thinking of. Made a post recently, I think on the ACC subreddit, talking about why TC0 is so powerful right now. But anywho, you were talking about Brenham.
Well, no, just yeah, two-horse race at the top, but we do still have some competitive times on the way down. Carl Nordell with a last-second improvement to 44.597 before we've got a bit of a run in the 44s. Richard Walters not far behind at a 44.69. Vigard 44.95, which is odd because Kurt Peters is showing a 44.87, and he is behind Vigard. So might just be some ACC TV shenanigans there. I am almost certain of that. Yeah, I think Vigard is actually at a 44.84. For some reason, my screen was telling me something different. But regardless, we are into qualifying here. Starting off with our AMs, we've got a good mix of AM and pro drivers. The silver class looking a bit sparse, which means there are lots of points on the line for those three silver drivers, and a bit more competition for our AM. So we'll have to see what they are able to do right now.
Yeah, and I can't remember. Was there a qualifying change or a qualifying format change, or am I making things up? Is it still 10-10-10?
It's still 10-10-10. There was one race where we did a grouping of 15 and 15 because of the number of competitors.
Mm-hmm.
But that has changed back because we've got bigger groups coming out. So there was just one race or two race that had pretty low attendance, but it's been back up to the pretty consistent high teens.
I see. That makes sense. And yeah, one thing I did want to mention, you had mentioned Henry Jaja earlier. He is one of our signouts for today. We also do not have Tyler Babin, who we mentioned earlier. Magnus Hakabo is gone, and Charlie Thornton missing today as well. So just a couple of signouts. But yeah, at least for me, I feel like this is one of the bigger grids that I've seen this season.
Yeah, it is. 19 is a good turnout for us here. Well, yeah, we should probably mention this fight going on as we've got Darren. Let me pull up the track map here. We've got a 1-2 fight between Darren and who was that?
That was Prevo.
Prevo here for qualifying, so they're not giving each other any room here. Starting off their laps, currently on their out laps, but about to start their fast laps here, and I'm only seeing maybe a couple tenths, 3 tenths between the two of them.
Yeah, no, Darren was really hounding Bryce Prevost on the outlap for them. Bryce eventually yielding the position, letting Darren through. But yeah, they were very, very close. And with how tight and technical Hungary is, I would have thought that Prevost would have given himself maybe a little bit more room to not be so much in the dirty air. But maybe he's thinking that he does want to be in that tow, or maybe it's some sort of a Ferrari team up they have secretly planned.
Yeah, could be. Do you want to pull up the deltas?
Yes.
I wonder. I don't think I can change it. Although, you know what? Actually, don't do anything. I want to see if I can change it. I'm curious if I can change it while you're streaming. So if I go to Quali Personal Best, did that change anything?
It did not.
Okay, I think it changed it for my own instance of ACC TV, but not yours.
I see. Let me actually do it session best relative. Or wait, no. It is this. Oh, me getting back in the swing of streaming. How fun.
It'll take time.
Yeah, I mean, I was even worried coming back on with it being, almost 2 months since I was last on here. Would I even remember what a car looks like? Thankfully,
Well,
I think I do.
I would think so. You did successfully recognize the two Ferraris. Oh, Brenham, first time chatter. How you doing? Fast as usual.
But will he be fast enough? That is the question tonight. As Darren, Bryce actually on P1 right now, about a tenth faster than Darren Chan, who is in P2. Quite a margin between those two drivers, and Legere Simon in P3 with a 47.2, and we are still awaiting lap times from Hatisi and Johan Hauben. So those should be coming in soon, as they got out of the pits a little later. And Aiden Stewart, yet another second behind Legere Simon. So we have a roughly 3-second spread amongst our 5 AM drivers right now, and Hatisi goes into P3 with a 46.3. So yeah, quite a big spread between all of these drivers. We have Darren Chan with a yellow flag.
Darren has
no.
gone off in qualifying, leaving Prevost in open air. Yeah, I mean, Hungary is such a technically difficult track that it's very easy to make some mistakes. A couple mistakes in your qualifying lap drops you back a couple seconds. So I'm sure drivers like Aiden Stewart, Hauben, Simon, or Simon will be pushing to improve. That was a weird one. Am I crazy? That was a weird one. Did he forget to brake?
I'm not sure, because so he lost it at the exit of, I think that was like turn 5. I need to pull up a track map. Lost the rear a little bit. To me, it looked like he was just pulling off to return to the garage, but then he kept on going. So I'm really not sure what was happening there.
Yeah, that was an odd one. It is turn 5. Yes. I've learned today that Hungary does not actually have names for their turns, which is quite disappointing. So the track walk is not going to be fun. It's going to be quite subdued from me. I have no fun names to say.
And Hatisi, no obvious off track, was just looking kind of slow through the chicane, and then pulled over and went back to the garage. We're getting a message. Yeah, Darren was just letting Prevost by after invalidating. So, makes sense. Nice gentlemanly thing to do. And Darren is now back to the pits, so not sure if Darren is going to be coming back out. As Prevost, I believe, also just invalidated his lap. He did by running wide at that same turn 5 that we saw Darren get a little squirrely last lap.
Well, we can jump over then to Simon, who is 0.4 up on their lap here. Getting, inching closer to fighting with Darren and Prevost for one of those top spots. Depends on how the rest of the lap goes, but now up to 0.5. Lots of time gained and lots of track left. That looked bad.
Yep,
and it was bad.
Invalidation.
So, you should feel bad, Legere. I think you should feel bad.
He should still have 2 more opportunities. It looks like he's just maybe cooling down his tires a little bit, getting the pressures a little lower before he begins his next flying lap. Just taking it easy here. So we have Prevost flashing purple a little bit. We'll have to see what kind of improvement he can make. And Darren Chan and Mircea Hatisi both back on track. So they went back to the pits and have re-emerged for 1 or 2 more attempts at a lap. See if they can usurp Mr. Prevost in P1, who has now lost a little bit of time, and Johan Hauben showing a yellow flag. Ooh.
That is not the way to let somebody by. Looks like hopefully that didn't have any effect on Prevost's driving, but certainly would scare me to see that, see a driver on the inside like that.
Yep. So. Yeah, especially that last little move. I'm not sure how much Bryce was able to see from the cockpit cam, but that was definitely, from our view, and even this chase cam view here, was definitely quite close. Not sure
Yeah.
Hatisi fully knew that Bryce was coming up.
Yeah. I have to say, I am quite a fan of the helicam here at Hungaroring. I think this is my favorite helicam of any of the tracks so far. I don't know why, it just seems pleasant. Maybe it's all the trees in the background. This just looks nice. Unlike Darren Chan's line there, which looked pretty shit.
Indeed. No invalidation at turn 9. I think he had the previous lap. So this will definitely be an improvement. Not sure it's going to be enough to get himself up above Darren, but he will have one more attempt as we are coming up on 45 seconds left. For our AM drivers, Simon improves to a 45.9, still about 0.4 off where he needs to be if he wants to try and get P2. Prevost flashing green, continuing to improve ever so slightly after that little scare that he had with Hatisi when Hatisi was on his outlap. So we see all of our AM drivers right now, except for Darren Chan, are either improving slightly on their laps or... Yeah, it was giving me a message that it was having a connection issue.
I don't know if they can hear, but the stream is down right now.
Okay, it's showing green again. We might be back. My upload speed dipped from nearly 7,000 kilobits per second to 83, which is not sustainable at all for a stream.
No.
But we should be between 5,000 and 7,000 right now, which is what we need. So I don't see any more frame drops coming down. Darren Chan, in the chat, and I can't believe it. Darren, we weren't able to see what happened, but I assume not able to improve, unfortunately. But we were able to see had 0.5 in his pocket. Would have been a huge improvement and definitely would have put him up into P1 and potentially even fighting with some of our mid-tier drivers with that time. So definitely a bummer, Darren. But as always, we know you have the pace. We'll be excited to see what battle you and Prevost might have, because we've seen little battles here and there in practice and in quali. As we see Macy, I think the first silver driver to cross the line to start his lap.
Yes. As well, just a quick shout out to Hatisi, who dropped his time down to 1:45.655. Not quite enough to surpass Darren, but a mighty lap nonetheless. Same as Simon getting into the 45 to the 45.932 before we got a couple of our AM drivers down in the 47, Stewart and Hauben. So we'll see how they are able to make up some time in the race.
And Kurt Peters, how is he not a pro driver already?
It's a great question. You know, he's been, the last 3 races, he's really been on the cusp. But it's been fun to watch the silver class the last 3 races. There's been a lot of competition. Like, Kurt did not run away with I believe, any of the... Ooh, that is a bouncy suspension setup there for Bosman. Looks like they say he's 0.2 down. I don't know what that means, but yeah, the car is clearly set up for curbing here. Very flexy. Regardless, yeah, it seems like Kurt Peters has not been able to quite run away, and I think that's more a testament to the skill of the silver drivers around him rather than a knock on his driving ability. We've just seen some really fast drivers out the last 3 races.
Yeah, no, it's always surprising, I feel, because, I mean, I feel like for both of us, we don't race as much in ACC as we used to. Always surprising to see the time improvement looking at tracks, because, I mean, I think I haven't done many races here at Hungaroring, but I think my best was like a low 45, which Kieran Macy just set. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I used to be, we both used to be pro drivers. 45 used to be a really good time. And back in practice, we saw a low 43 being the benchmark. So just always surprising to see how big improvements these drivers are able to make and how much closer the competition is getting amongst our entire field.
Yeah, it really is nice to see. I agree. I don't believe I have ever set a time in the sub 44s at Hungaroring since I stopped driving here. So lots of drivers we've watched just get better and better. A driver like Paul Krobs, who was a silver driver for the couple seasons I was driving in, and now up there capable of P2s. Maybe not capable of beating Oystein Brenham. Few people are, but I mean, with some luck, who knows? So it's nice to see lots of drivers out there. Just yeah, getting better season over season.
Absolutely, and Kurt Peters, definitely one who has improved and has improved on Macy's time, only separated by 400ths right now. No one yet able to cross into the 44s, but Kurt Peters might be able to this lap. He is showing a 10th up, now no 10ths up, but still a slight improvement. So, very good through there, making up a couple of 10ths. So if he's able to finish this out, should be, and continuing to find time on braking. Very nice, Kurt. I think I'm going to gamble and say that Kurt will be our first driver into the 44s. And we'll just have to see if any of our silvers are able to compete with Kurt for that P1 spot.
Well, everything's looking neat and tidy so far, up to a 0.4, so it should be pretty clearly in the mid 44s, and there it is, a 44.59. Really solid lap there for Kurt Peters. And yeah, it's going to be a battle for the other silvers to try to make it up.
And not even P or purple in the first sector. That belongs to Hatisi, actually. Our 5th place driver in qualifying so far has the purple sector. Prevost is the driver who's come closest. So Hatisi said a 37.157. Prevost had a 37.170. So only a little over 100th off of Hatisi. But Kurt Peters was about 800ths off of what Hatisi was able to do in that first sector. So very nice first sector from Hatisi. Hats off to you, sir.
Yeah. I mean, this whole track is so incredibly tricky that to be able to pull us any sector, to be able to go purple over some of our silver drivers is impressive. You see Peters there. He does not like the lap he's having. He jumps back, and we will jump over to Bosman, the only driver currently on the track that looks to be improving. A bit of a weak lap for him so far in the 47, so we know we've seen a lot better from Bosman before, and I'm sure he's aware of that too. So we'll see what he's able to do with the final sector here.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the only driver improving, but not improving that much compared to what he needs if he wants to compete with some of our other big silver drivers. Do you think I mean, gaining and losing a little bit of time there, do you think that bumpy suspension is costing him?
It looks really bumpy, man. I don't know how the BMW drives. As far as I know, it's a pretty neutral kind of driving car. I've never run suspension that bumpy with success. Now, he's up to a 47 flat. Maybe designed for race pace instead of quali pace. I don't know. It didn't look fantastic. It didn't look like the kind of car I would want to be driving, but I am not Bosman. So, I couldn't really tell you. Let's see here. We'll leave it on him because it was this curbing coming up that he got so bouncy. So let's see what happens as he goes over this curb here. And yeah, lots of wobble in that back end.
Yeah, I feel like I would just be feeling like I'm on a knife's edge the entire time driving that car, never knowing if that one little bump is gonna completely unsettle the car. Because yeah, going through that turn 3 looked a little sketchy. And here, I mean, the chicane, it looked like it handled well, but it's also so slow that you don't need to worry about it too much, I feel. But yeah, some of these bigger turns that he's taking that are faster, the car just looks a little too nervous for, I feel like, what I would have liked.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Still 0.3 up, a slight improvement, but certainly not looking at a time that we've seen Gary Bosman be capable of. So we'll see what happens for the rest of qualifying. He does still have one more shot at it and a couple turns to make up time, but Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's going flat on his previous time. None of our silver drivers looking like they're going to have big improvements coming up, unless Gary really screwed up the last turn. But yeah, gained a little bit extra time. 0.3 is going to jump into the 46s, 46.7 with 1 lap left to go. But yeah, I'm sure he'll want to be finding some time throughout the lap here if he can. Again, Kurt Peters, I think, is on a lap.
He is. He's been flashing purple.
Yeah. Yeah, but, we see Macy. It looks like Macy just had a bit of a spin there, and that is going to end a lap. Why don't we do a 10-second here? And it looks like, yeah, just got onto the curb and into the wall. That is how my last race at Hungaroring ended here. I did not get enough practicing for that one. I was not particularly happy with myself. Excuse me. So, well aware of what can happen with that second curve if you're not careful.
In DDO, Reagan, and when we saw Macy go back to the pits as, Peter's big invalidation there, we saw Macy return to the pits, and we saw some of our pro drivers lining up. It is now pro time. Silvers are able to finish their laps. Gary Bosman should be the only silver driver still out there finishing his. Not looking, well, I was going to say not looking like it's going to be an improvement.
And
definitely not there.
Certainly will not be now.
Nope.
Lots of invalidations on that same turn as we jump over to our pro class. And Scott Brewer, I forgot to mention, but I believe Scott is in the pro class this time around. Was in the silver class last race. Had some phenomenal pace. That's one other thing. Yeah, Scott Brewer. Oh, yeah, that was a big story from Imola. Scott was up in, 4th place in his first race, and, in keeping up with Paul Krobs for the entire first stint. Had, really solid pace, some good race pace, some good racecraft. So I am not surprised to see them jumping right up into the pro class here. Awesome to see new fast drivers joining us to compete.
Indeed. But yeah, going back to invalidations, I know some of our drivers in our Discord were sending screenshots of some of their laps, and I think it was Yvonne sent a picture where he did maybe 20 laps or something, and 90% of them were red for invalid. So this could be a track where we are going to see a good few drive-throughs if our drivers are not careful. It seems to be, especially that one corner that we saw Macy invalidate at, seems to be, or no, it was Bosman, right?
Bosman.
Yeah.
And Macy, maybe?
Everyone invalidated there at some point. As we are on board with Scott Brewer, this is my favorite camera, the roof cam. Coming through turn 2 here, along nearly 180-degree corner. I don't want to spoil too much of the track walk, so I won't talk about it too much. But looking pretty good so far, until he invalidated just there.
Yep, just kidding. Yeah, we'll have to keep a close eye on the drive-throughs because ACC TV does a bad job of telling us. But the in-game view, of course, will be key there. I used to drive in that hood cam for a little while when I was in VR. I'm still in VR, but I went back to in the cockpit. It's just a little more immersive for VR driving, and it might be a little slower, but I don't mind. I'm slow. I've accepted that. Well, I'm not terrible. It's so easy to say, "Oh, I'm slow," but I was pretty good.
I agree. I mean, especially, Kyalami, you dominated. I assume you were talking about your pace and your escapades there.
I was shit talking all the drivers until Brenham just dumpstered the time that I was bragging about. So ignoring that, I was bragging about it. I don't think I'd be able to keep up with Brenham in Kyalami in the old Honda. I could try, but that's a big ask.
Indeed. Also a big ask will be someone to beat Carl Nordell's time. Goes a 44 280, 12 thousandths ahead of Rosenpashov. Both have been showing improvements this lap. Carl has lost a little bit of it, but Pashov is flashing purple and still keeping some of that. As Jorge Esteban, that we are seeing right now, up 4/10, which would put him potentially P3 overall, might just get ahead of Kurt Peters. It'll be close if he stays on his current pace. We switch over to Rosenpashov, who we mentioned is up a couple of tenths, and he is a pretty good chunk done with this lap. So as long as he can keep it steady for just a couple more corners, he might be able to put that Porsche on pole. Still need to see a lap from Oystein Brenham, but he is showing an improvement of 2.7 seconds. He hasn't done a full lap so far, so we don't know what that 2.7 is comparing to. But now 3.1, so he's improving on something, but I don't know what it is.
So we've got our drivers are pretty well bunched up here. We'll start with Jorge Esteban, but we're going to get a flurry of new times in the next 10 seconds or so. So there's 1, 2.
Oh my God.
A third and a fourth. We've got, this is Scott Brewer's going to be coming around for a lap. As we've got Brenham, in the 43 flat, a wild time.
A second ahead of Pashov.
Wow. Scott Brewer looks like was invalid. We're jumping on to Yvonne Watson. That is a nice livery, Yvonne. I like that. That is a good livery. I should have got that. Richard Walters coming through. Looks like his last lap was invalid. And finally, we've got a new driver here, Nikkonen, who has jumped into 9th with a 45.317. So all of our drivers finishing off their second laps, and of course, Brenham a second faster than anyone else. What a surprise. Steven, have you ever been more shocked about anything in your life that Brenham is currently top of the tables?
The only thing I can be more shocked at is how good my AI chatbot skills are. I feel like as a chatbot, I am incredibly lifelike and real to life. Yeah, besides how far technology has come to allow me to join you in this AI virtual format, nothing else surprises me as much as, or as close as, Brenham being faster than I can't talk. This is my AI chatbot skills.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
not being so good.
This thing wrong.
I know top good.
Yeah, it's that's a big lead to overcome, and we only see Yvonne with a 44.8 as the sort of big gainer at the moment. We haven't seen Richard Walters set a live time. Same thing with Scott Brewer. So two drivers who look like they might set some competent laps here, but it's always so hard to tell until they come across the line and actually have some numbers to back up their data. So we'll see what happens here. We've got a quick look at our Pro AM classes. We see Yvonne jumping Kurt Peters for 4th place. Not sure what the time is, because here it is, 44.425 for Yvonne. Johansson has jumped into 7th place. And I believe we have seen Scott Brewer is in 14th, a bit of a lukewarm time there. Nikkonen in 10th, as I believe Esteban just passed. I think it's just personal best, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was curious to see the car numbers so that we could see the car classes and see if, at all, how mixed up things were. Most notably, is Scott Brewer, who... Oh, I lost him. Oh, he's still in P14, has not been able to improve on that 45.67. Still a couple of opportunities, potentially, to improve on that and get himself out of the AM drivers that he is currently around. But yeah, some pretty clean splits for the most part between the pros, the silvers, and the AMs. As Brenham pulling over.
Brenham invalidated there just a bit earlier. And one thing I wanted to mention, because we were talking about Gary Bosman's... I really hope it hasn't.
Oh, no, I definitely think it did.
We're back. Nope, we're good. It might have just been a quick drop. It does look like there are some issues here. but it is running okay. We got another stream dying again.
Yeah, I will be moving in a couple weeks, so hopefully with that move, I will be in a place with, supposedly the upload speeds can get up to 200 megabits per second. I'm currently at 40 maximum, so hopefully with that increase, it'll mean for a more stable stream. But I feel like my computer has been okay up until this point this season. I mean, I know it hasn't...
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been on stream, but before that, it seemed to be working okay.
This feels new. Well, this is, I mean, your computer is a lot beefier than mine, so I can see when the stream's running good. Like, you can run 1080p source, and the stream is not jittery. So this is an internet issue rather than a computer issue, almost certainly. So we just need to combine my internet with your computer, and we would have a very good stream going.
Indeed. Somebody who doesn't have a good stream going, but a good lap going is Brenham, one of the only drivers out there who is looking to improve. Scott Brewer also looking like an improvement, but at the moment might only be good enough for around P10 if he's able to finish out that lap, or maybe even lower. Yvonne Watson showing a slight improvement. Will need a little more if he wants to take P3 away from Carl Nordell. But Brenham, yeah, showing still a little bit of improvement. Now finding a couple of tenths. Could get into the 42s. Would be extremely spicy if he's able to pull that off.
It certainly would be. We'll see here Scott Brewer. He's going to come around and jump to 9th place. A nice lap for him. We've got Pashov here going into the pits. Not doing anything with that lap, which means it is Brenham here who might jump into the 42s. It looks like he does not. 43.052, a pathetically slightly less than 1 second gain on P2. Yeah, almost a second. It was what is that? 0.97 seconds faster than P1, which is kind of embarrassing. I will be honest. I mean, not being a second faster is be better, Brenham.
Or Bree better? Be breader?
Oist beam breader? No?
I think we should
end the stream.
I was just gonna say end quali and go to the track overview, but yeah, we can end the stream too.
Yeah, that was bad. This is what happens when you come back, Steven.
Yeah, it's been nice seeing everybody again. You can catch us at Coda in 2 weeks' time. We are very much looking forward to what will be coming there. Taking it back over to the States. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you there, and enjoy the race. We'll see you later. Ah, dang. I don't want people to actually think we ended. It's still saying that's all for today. Okay, we're back now. Yeah.
We're back. No, don't leave. Oh, don't leave.
Oh, we went from 10 to 30. We gained viewers with that. They all missed my comedy. Should we throw it over to your classic track walks?
Sure. I'm just looking for an emoji here. Are there normal emojis on Twitch, or are they all weird?
They might all be weird.
I think they're all weird. Why are they all weird? Why can't they just do normal emoji? Yeah, they're all weird. What the heck? What the fuck, Twitch?
There's a little robot dude.
Yeah, there is a sad robot dude. I'll use the sad robot dude.
No, don't leave. Amazing. Track walk time?
Track walk time.
Beautiful. I know they sometimes go a little fast, so I did...
I'm robot-like, so I can't see a thing. So maybe something is happening right now.
What?
Alright, we're on the front straight of Hungaroring. Historic track. Lots of good driving here. Really enjoyed the recent F1 races we've had at Hungaroring. It's really important to keep full throttle on this straight. The reason for that is if you are full throttle, your car is going to be going the fastest that it possibly can in a straight line. If one was at, say, 90% throttle, they would be going slower than if they were at 100% throttle. We're about to hit the braking zone. The important thing about braking is that it slows your car down.
Reagan, if I can interrupt, is this too slow, would you say? Would you prefer a faster one?
Maybe a little bit faster.
All right.
We are about to hit the historic turn 1, but you know what? We'll hit it again.
Let's do a little faster one.
All right.
Hopefully this is more your speed.
That sounds great. I'm sure this is a joke too. Jesus Christ.
Was that enough time?
No. No,
okay.
It's not.
Let's try one more. I think this is going to be the one. I think this will be the Goldilocks happy medium.
Okay, that's good. Let's see here. I don't know if I trust you. This seems normal. This is suspiciously normal. Well, we're about to hit turn 1, which is taking its time. We've got the hairpin, also known as turn 1. This track is named stupidly. We've got turn 2. Isn't that fun? Long sweeping turn into turn 3. That's a fun one. It really needs a fun name. We're about to hit, don't get it wrong, turn 4, known as the blind man, apparently. I don't know if that's true. Turn 5, nice long sweeping. That turn 4 into turn 5 complex is very fun. We've got the chicane, turn 6, 7, into 8, into 9. I do really like this section here. It's very fun. Into the S's. The fast right-hander here, easy to invalidate. Turn 11, hitting sector 3 before the heavy braking zone down into 12, which apparently has a name, the Superman complex. Before the double hairpin to end off the lap. Turn 13, turn 14. That is Hungaroring, which apparently has 4 turn names that I could not find on any track map anywhere on Google. But there we go. That is that's the track.
That is the track indeed. I also don't know, where ACC TV got some of those turn names. I also like how the S's points to a straight. You think they would put that on a turn, but sure, ACC TV. We'll take your word for it. Let's go to our classic track overviews and hear some more from Reagan.
All right, AOR fastest lap of 141.5. That's messed up. That is a messed up time. 42.5, I think it said for real guard. 41. Jesus Christ. We're going into turn 1. Heavy braking zone. It's a pretty wide turn 1, which is nice as long as our drivers are being careful. There's lots of room for an overtake down the inside, as we saw there with the AI drivers. Into technically not a turn is turn 2. Well, that's not a turn. It's a turn without being a named turn. We're into turn 2, another overtaking opportunity on the back of a good exit of turn 1. Turn 3, not an overtaking opportunity. Please do not try to go too wide through turn 3. That is a fast, full-speed right-hander into a bit of a faster left-hander. Bit of brake there, but fast sweeping right-hander. Really fun left there before we get into the chicane. You can see here we've got a Porsche going for a run on the inside. Again, I don't know if I would advise trying to overtake through here. As you can see, both drivers kind of sucked. And that's just what happens when you try to go too wide through a chicane. Turn 8 into turn 9. We've got what I assume ACC was trying to call the S's, and not actually the straight line here. But we've got the right to left to right to left to the hard right. Please don't invalidate here. It's so easy to. We don't want drive-thrus. It makes us sad. Sector 3 and turn 12. An overtaking opportunity, difficult to do but possible. Hungaroring doesn't have a ton of great overtaking opportunities, but enough that drivers have to be on their toes. So a good defensive driver can do a lot of work here, but if you know how to make your moves and you know how to have some patience, then you can have some fun overtakes on this track. We've got the double hairpin that is already done, and that, my friends, is a lap of Hungaroring.
Thank you so much for that, Reagan. That was illuminating, as our drivers we see are on their formation lap, just going through the chicane. So we have a little bit of time before we start. Reagan, any predictions or things that you were excited for as we lead up to this race?
You know, my prediction is that there are going to be at least 6 drive-through penalties, including one that makes someone lose a podium position in the last 15 minutes of the race. That's my prediction. Yep. Scary times for top drivers.
I think that is a pretty solid prediction to make. We see a big jumble. I think the drivers just got the command from ACC to form up double file, and it was a mad dash to form up those lines as they just have a couple more turns before the start.
Somebody being a bit weird back there. That white car behind Bosman. It's not quite getting into position the way that we need them to. It seems like everything's cleared up now. But you can already see ACC TV's telling us Richard Walters has gained a spot. So really good start for Richard before the races started. I hope they don't get a drive-through because of that, because I'm a little confused and a little concerned. But we'll have to see what happens on the green light, and we are off.
And it looks like Pashov didn't get as good of a start. Carl Nordell in that black Lamborghini going up the inside into T1. Pashov trying to keep it around the outside as Yvonne Watson.
Outside. Watson sticks it around the outside. What a move.
And Kurt is up into third.
Woo! Kurt Peters on the inside. Yeah, Pashov with a terrible start and lots of drivers taking advantage.
And Watson spins. Tried to go up the inside of Kurt Peters.
Oh, Yvonne. Oh, that's more. Oh, it's carnage. It's carnage in the back. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, no. So many of our drivers, including Yvonne, Darren, Shanahan, Prevost. We've got Scott Brewer, I think, is showing a little off. Kurt Peters is still in third. Are we doing a replay here? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to throw it to a replay of what started all this. So, yeah, Yvonne, a little, opportunistic.
Yvonne goes a little deep. And where is Yvonne? Here he is.
Way back.
We've got lots of drivers. Unfortunately, we missed a bit of the carnage. But, yeah, Yvonne, the last driver to turn around and off to the races. So yeah, big collision at the start, and we jump back to live. Here we can see that Macy has also been in an incident, has dropped to the back of the grid. Big start for Hatisi in up 6th places into 8th. So really good start there. Otherwise, we're seeing a lot of drivers with some bit of luck. And Kurt Peters, of course, with that phenomenal start, which also allowed him to get out of the carnage. Pashov with the rough start, which did push him down into 4th place, but able to survive the start, which brought him back just a little bit, as we have Oystein Brenham already 1.2 seconds in front of Carl Nordell, so it's making a bit of a gap for themselves off the hop.
Indeed. I was just thinking about ACC TV is able to track incidents, but it doesn't track lap 1 incidents. Jorge really sending it. Oh, yeah, my gosh.
Sending it, but I think he forgot the stamp because it was not delivered. Back down into 6th place as Johansson calmly navigates that situation.
Yeah.
Keeps in front.
Excellent awareness from Vigard there to not allow Jorge to just absolutely steamroll him. That would have been a crash and a half if Vigard had been a little bit more to the inside.
Certainly.
But I was saying ACC TV does not track lap 1 incidents, so our stewards are going to have a fun time going through all of those incidents because lap 1, turn 2, it was, 2/3 of the grid had one of those yellow triangles next to their name saying that they had been involved in an incident. So will be interesting to see their verdicts on all of those collisions that took place.
Certainly will be. We've got Gary Bosman. We were just watching up 5 places. A nice start for him. And Hatisi here up 6 spots and fighting with pro driver Richard Walters. One of the only drivers who's keeping a red delta at the moment. Our drivers currently just shaking things out, figuring out their pace. Oystein Brenham with a big 44.25. Again, just slowly but surely increasing that gap on Brenham or on Nordell. And I shouldn't say slowly because it's already 1.5. But lots of drivers here we're seeing are just close to the drivers in front. Maybe not close enough to make a move, but close enough for it to be a consideration. I say that, and here we watch Bosman and Simon pushing Bosman to the outside. A little cheeky. but does get the move done. And that is 11th place for Simon. A nice move, along with a bit of aggression.
Yeah, might need to throw some baby powder on that, is how cheeky it was. That was a baby butt joke. Did that come across well?
Yeah,
Was that good?
that did. Yeah. I thought
Okay.
that was something.
Got to get back in the swing of coming up with jokes on the fly during this stream. Yeah, I was gonna say we saw Brenham with a fastest lap, a 44.2. When you're racing, I feel like nothing disheartens you more than when a driver on full fuel is able to do a time basically equivalent to what you were able to do in qualifying, because I'm sure that's how Carl feels doing a 44 flat in qualifying, only for Brenham to, on a full tank of fuel, do a time only 0.2 slower. That is not going to be the most confidence inspiring for our second place driver and anyone below him.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you there. Now, again, that being said, we are talking about Brenham. Brenham, not a driver that you'd necessarily feel too bad about being slower than, but certainly for a driver in P2 who's looking to fight for a victory, it's an uphill battle, we'll say.
Uphill indeed. Unlike this run down to turn 2, which is downhill. We see Jorge a little more measured on the brakes, still trying to find some way to get past Vigard Johansson going into turn 2. Jorge is really trying to use the maximum of those Porsche brakes, but goes wide through turn 3.
Of the track as well. Yeah, we got a bit of a battle of the Porsches here. And it doesn't look like these drivers are going to be letting up anytime soon. There, once again, Jorge goes a bit wide, and that actually puts them under pressure to Richard Walters, who's thinking about a dive. Does not have or make it happen through the chicane, but yeah, it looks like Jorge might need to settle down here and have some patience, because this fighting at the front is slowing him down and allowing Richard Walters back into the fight.
Exactly, and through turn, I think 7, I think that was. I need to pull up a track map really, but it looked like Jorge might have gone a little bit wide there. We saw him go wide at turn 3. Not sure how many track warnings he might want to rack up, as Halbin also goes off track there. Yvonne Watson recovering pretty nicely, was last earlier, now up to P15, still has a ways to go, as Brenham sets a 43.8, now sets a faster race lap than Pashov and Carl were able to do in qualifying. So that is incredible pace from Brenham. But yeah, I mean, I'm again not sure how many track warnings these drivers are racking up, but you definitely 7.5 minutes into this race don't even want to be thinking about getting one, just because they will rack up early, and you do not want to drive through around here.
No.
As
and there we got a
Vigard.
mistake. That is Vigard, which allows Jorge to go side by side. We've talked about this turn 3 being a difficult one to take side by side, and once again, Jorge does not go for it, but he's thinking about it here through turn 4. That is side by side through turn 4, making it work. And here around the outside, it does look like that is Johansson able to keep in front. We've got a ridiculous battle here between these drivers. Thank you for that camera swap, Stephen. As Richard Walters now is thinking about a move down the inside of turn 8, maybe? I don't know. I really wish there were actual turn names. It's fine. Regardless, the racing is better than the creativity of the creators of this track. And the fight continues here between Richard and Jorge. We also, just in the background here, do have this fight going on. So we've got fights back and forth. If we keep this camera, we can see all 5 drivers in one shot for a lot of it. And Scott trying to make it work. Oh, and he goes, wow, a dive down the inside of turn 11. That is cheeky, I would say. Scott Brewer with a nice move. But Hatisi coming back at him. They are going side by side. It's calling it contact. I would call that fantastic racing. Both drivers, I mean, maybe they're rubbing their windows, but as they say, rubbing's racing. And fantastic little 1-2 fight there between Brewer and Hatisi.
Yeah, I do want to. We mentioned a battle of the Porsches in positions 4 through 6. We also have 4 McLarens in a row from P8 down to P11. So there's a little bit of a pack running for those 2 manufacturers going on right now. But yeah, just a little fun tidbit to be aware of.
Yeah, fun little fight here between Bosman and Prevo. Prevo getting a bit of a run, but Bosman with the inside line means that he is able to keep in front. So fun little fight there that I don't think is going to be going away anytime soon. At the same time, still Hatisi and Scott Brewer going at it. So we do have some fun fights all around the grid. Some good stuff for us to watch. One other thing to mention is Nicholas Castillo has a 10-second penalty that was tacked on at the start of the race, I believe, for BWP points, as we see there, Scott. Once again, now trying to go around the outside and goes quite wide, still in the fight, and tries to outbrake through turn 10, not able to. And this actually allows Nikkanen, a rookie, into the fight here. So now we've got one more 3-car fight, just constant fighting throughout the grid, as we see this fight has not gone anywhere. Richard Walters still hiding in the background. Darren Shan has completed his pit stop.
Interesting.
Darren,
I guess
he's showing green, so I guess he just wanted an early stop.
he was in the pileup on lap 1, probably getting hit in the front and from behind as Richard Walters in the background goes wide there.
And here it does look like, okay, that is Scott Brewer able to make the move there on the inside, although Hatisi does not want to give it up. They are still fighting. We're seeing, oh, my
contact
goodness,
for Vigard?
a bit of contact there. We're just going to jump back. He looks fine. Not sure what happened there. The deltas are all sticking consistent, so don't want to lose this fight, because now I believe we have Nikkanen, who is right on the back of Hatisi.
Stewart showing yellow. Oh,
Stewart,
leaving the pits.
I think leaving the pits has also completed their required pit stop. We'll give some love to the back drivers near the back here, as we've got a 3-way fight between Halban, Castillo, and Macy. That's a nice little move there for Macy, as Castillo goes a bit deep. We also have Yvonne, and I didn't see that one, but that seems like a fun move, so I'm actually going to do a quick 10-second replay here on Yvonne Watson. I think it was a bit, it must have happened a bit earlier than 10 seconds ago, so I apologize for that one. Too much to going on for me to even know when the
Macy
moves are
and
happening.
Castillo were showing contact.
My goodness. Not sure what happened there, unless Castillo maybe dropped back after some contact, because we do have this fight, which is right back to back with Macy and Halban. We've also got this fight here between 3 Porsche drivers. I think one of them might be a back marker.
That's Darren, yep.
That is Darren. Yes, Darren coming out of the pits. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. This fight is not quite as bunched up as we might believe. Jumping over here, we've got Hatisi going side by side with Scott Brewer. So it's just like this is some phenomenal racing, some phenomenal fighting all around. Sorry, Steven, I keep jumping. I'm not giving you any idea where I'm going next, but it's just so much to look at.
There is indeed, and I'm kind of surprised because at least in F1, Hungary is considered Monaco without the walls, where it's very, very difficult to pass. But at least for our drivers here today, there have been ample opportunities to not only pass, but have some good side-by-side battles. This has been a great 14 minutes so far.
Yeah, the moments have been constant. We see here Yvonne got a little bit slow, I think, into that turn, because Bryce Prevost is now 0.4 behind. Prevost maybe just able to break a little bit later. Yvonne, as fast of a driver as he is, there's going to be a lot of damage on that BMW right now. So that is something he's going to have to manage for the entire race, or at least until he pits.
Indeed. Aiden Stewart showing yellow. And we saw him coming out of the pits before, so I don't think that was a pit stop. I think that was, maybe we'll throw a replay onto Mr. Aiden. Loses it at turn 3.
Yep, that's not a fun one. That's a tough turn, a weird one to spin on because that is a flat turn. But I guess if you hit that inside curb wrong, as we've got 3, 2, 1, we're gonna have to jump to another replay here very quickly because Esteban has made a move. So let me do a 30 seconds here. I got it. I believe we've got moves all over the place. Scott Brewer has been able to make a move on Hatisi. We are on board here with Esteban on the replay, coming down on turn 1. And let's see what happens here. Gets a bit of a run, and the dive down the inside, taking advantage of those Porsche brakes against another Porsche. The run down the to turn 2, he does have the inside, so even though he went a bit deep, was able to hold that position, and that is Jorge Esteban into 5th place. A really nice move there, and starts the hunt for Pashov.
Definitely a little aggressive, I would say, but clean. Very good awareness from Vigar there. Aiden Stewart showing yellow again. Wonder if he had another run-in with turn 3. But looks to be back and moving again. He's at least not showing yellow anymore. But yeah, Hatisi 0.7 behind. Scott Brewer still. The battle of the McLarens still going on, but Simon has fallen back a little bit as, that was Prevost going a little bit wide in the background there. I did want to take a look. Have we gotten any notifications of... I see a lot of accident notifications, but nobody serving a drive-through penalty or anything at this point.
Steven, I'll let you know. I've got that open. I've got the game open so I can see just on the main screen. So if there's any penalties, I will let you know as soon as I see them. So you can rest assured. I think I've set up my second monitor as optimally as I can. At least I hope so.
Beautiful. Well, we love to hear that. What Gary Bosman does not want to hear is the sound of a fellow BMW engine right on his ear. I think, was there contact there?
I don't think it showed any contact.
No,
but it seemed a bit.
They had
Yeah. That was just a nice move, I think. I don't know what's happening here. I think we're on a replay. There we go.
No, they were showing a yellow flag. So yeah, Bosman or Yvonne just starts turning in. Yeah.
Yeah, Bosman tries to push him out wide, and Yvonne decides to take the normal side-by-side racing line.
Yep. I did go to replay too early. I didn't know that they would still be fighting into turn 2, and Yvonne now has gotten past Bryce Prevost. And Gary Bosman was the one that he was fighting. Prevost got past Bosman. So Bosman, the big loser there, lost 2 positions in that battle. And now Kieran Macy is back up right on that rear end.
We'll jump over there as we've got, Macy on Bosman. Sorry, just a bit of issues with my ACC TV getting everything set up. Maybe it is not the optimal positioning for my ACC TV, but yeah, we've got that fight going on there. We've also got Jorge Esteban here getting into it with Pashov, as it looks like he goes down the inside and goes around the outside. I was a bit mistaken, but goes too deep. And that means that Pashov was able to get back in front. Esteban really wants to make the move happen, and I guess that was a bit of a mistake there from Pashov, as Esteban is in fact able to jump back into 4th place. Pashov down to 5th.
Yeah, Esteban in an absolute terror right now. He is definitely pacey. Pashov started P2, down 3 positions right now, and that's what I was looking for. I wanted to get position delta back up. I just could not find it. So yeah, Pashov losing 3 positions and Jorge up 4 from what we can see. So yeah, Jorge having a really great race. I wonder if he maybe started with a little less fuel than some of his fellow Porsche drivers and is going to be stopping earlier compared to them. If that's not the case, then he is just on some rock and pace right now and doing very well for himself.
Yeah, Yeah, it would be nice if ACC TV was able to give us that information, but what can you do? It is not the easiest information to grab from the drivers. So it does mean that we have to simply sit here and predict. But that can be fun. Ah, haha, Hatisi, you dirty bugger! You've got yourself a drive-through.
Oh no.
Yep, top of the AM class at the moment, and this will definitely drop him outside of that top position once he goes in for the drive-through.
Oh no!
Oh, that's not good. Okay, let's let it run for a little bit and then do 30 seconds. I got it right now. As we see here, that is Bryce Prevost, who is looking okay. It is a 30 seconds, so we're going to be seeing the crash at some point here.
It should be this corner here. Prevost just doesn't brake. Or does Yvonne brake too early? It looked like Yvonne was almost coming to a stop by the time he got to the corner.
That was a very strange one. Yeah, it's hard to say. Yvonne has now gone into the pits, which allows Nicholas Castillo still has a 10-second penalty in front. But yeah, no, that was a very, very odd one. I wonder if Yvonne's car is just not feeling good right now, not feeling comfortable. Because yeah, that was a strange one. That was a very strange one. As we jump here to Richard Walters, looking to get back even with his starting position, fighting with Vigard at the moment.
Fighting with Vigard, indeed. Vigard up one position, but definitely I don't think would have wanted to have lost the place he had before to Jorge Esteban, who is now only 1 second behind Kurt Peters. So Jorge is, definitely showing some great pace right now. Has pulled a 2-second lead to Pashoff, who is in
the pits.
Only 22 minutes into this race. I don't think Pashoff had any damage from lap 1. I don't think he's been involved in anything else, so I don't think he's in to fix anything. He might just not be liking those tires, but if he's pitting 22 minutes in, he is not going to like the next 53 minutes that he has to complete.
No, I would agree. Jorge Esteban, I just noticed on the off screen, had a really weird one, but we have to jump over here because we've got Richard Walters and Johansson side by side. It looks like Walters is still able to hold that position. Now, am I crazy? I thought that Vigard was in front of Richard Walters, so I have a feeling we missed something. We're missing things all over the place because people are crashing. Are people crashing? No, people are going into the pits. I am a fool. I am but an innocent fool.
I'm going to have to definitely save the recording of this one and save that as a clip to use for future Robo-Reagans. If anything, I'll just put that on a loop. The entire stream is just you saying, I'm a fool.
Well, you know, I ramble off enough garbage here. Most people can assume that at this point. Macy letting us know that damage was getting worse, and Macy is currently in the pits, I believe. Where is Macy here? Yeah, Macy stationary at the moment. We'll jump back to Hatisi fighting with Gary Bosman. And Steven, I've got something very important to tell you.
Is it another drive-through?
No, I will be back in 2 minutes.
Oh, great. Well, for the next 2 minutes, you get only me. We have Hatisi right on the back of Gary Bosman, Johan Halben stalking them a little bit, just a second and a half back. We also have Johansson still on the back of Richard Walters as Legere Simon is in, up 6 positions. And I want to get, instead of position delta, let's get car number back up. So Simon currently the AM class leader, after who was it that had a drive-through penalty? I won't be able to see that at the moment, but Hatisi is going up the inside of Gary Bosman here, and also gets past Simon, who is in the pits. But Bosman not going to let that slide. Sits on the outside, brakes a little later, but goes too wide, and that might let Hauben there have a sniff at the rear end of that red BMW. But Hatisi looks firmly ahead now of Gary Bosman. A very nice move and an unfortunate mistake for Bosman there. Not what you want to see. Jorge Esteban has also fallen a little bit off of the rear end of Kurt Peters. Mentioned before that Jorge was about a second behind, is now 1.7 seconds back. Richard Walters 2.7 behind that. Don't know if Jorge may have been pushing a little bit too hard too early on those tires, but not able to fully keep up with Kurt Peters. But at the same time, Reagan did note recently that Jorge did go very wide at T1, I believe that was. So could still just be reeling from that mistake a little bit. As let's go over to Karimati and see what was happening there. Was showing slow, as Hauben is definitely slow and in the wall. Let's get a replay going of Hauben here. So coming through the chicane, approaching T8 and T9. Looks fine through 8, but is he maybe going to get too much entry curb? Interesting. I feel like you don't usually see drivers losing it there, but too much entry curb for Johan Hauben there, and he is back on his way, but has definitely lost a little bit of time, unfortunately. You do not like to see that. Hatisi currently leading the AM class, is nearly 25 seconds behind Nekanen there in P8, but has about a 7 or 8 second lead ahead of Provo, the second place AM driver. Pashoff did make his stop. Let me go ahead and take a look at the pit stop timings to see how long some of these pit stops have been. So Aiden Stewart came in, was in for 69.5 seconds. Yvonne Watson in for 68.5 seconds. I believe those two were fixing some damage, as Kieran Macy was in for 58 seconds. Darren Chan in for 48. Simon in for 40. And Pashoff in for 31. So I think Pashoff was just in for a normal pit stop, taking tires as well, from what I can gather on the pit stop timings. And Hatisi was in to serve. Is Hatisi car 9? He is. So Hatisi is actually, already been in for his drive-through penalty, but is still leading the AM class. Wow. So that is surprising.
Impressive. Yeah, that is a very good point.
Because I was talking about him before, and I was like, there's no way Hatisi was the one that got the drive-through, because he's still leading the AM class. But wouldn't you know, he just had that big of a lead. So definitely still in contention for a class win here, as Darren Chan is getting passed by... I'm not sure who that green McLaren is.
I believe the green McLaren is a lap up.
Is that a Nikanen? Car 2?
Yeah, I think you might be right. Let me see if I can click on him.
It is.
Yes. I think it might be Nikanen. I'm not sure.
We'll have to look up a pronunciation guide later.
Yeah. Regardless, that is not Darren's fight. Darren's fight is with Kieran Macy, who is just in front of him. Aha! Speaking of, Darren Chan, you naughty boy. That's a drive-through.
Oh, no.
Darren just gets the move done in time to give that spot right back in the next 3 laps. So that is 2 drive-throughs so far.
That is definitely unfortunate, not what you want to see. But we'll have to see how Darren is able to recover after that drive-through. As I was talking while you were gone, Reagan, about Jorge Esteban, had fallen from 1 second to nearly 2 seconds behind Kurt Peters. I was speculating about tires, but I do think it was because of that time when he ran wide at T1. As Macy and Darren have come to blows, we are going to have to maybe take a look at that replay and see what happened between those two. But Darren did immediately go into the pits after that. So they're coming up on turns 13 and 14, the final 180-degree corners. So Darren pops over to the outside. I think Macy spotted a time to go to the inside, and Darren still just turns in. Macy was going a little deeper than Darren was anticipating. So not too big of a hit. Definitely, just a little clumsy, I think, from both of those. Don't think that'll be for any of them for anything. But yeah, Darren comes out of the pits after serving that drive-through penalty and is in 18th place at the moment.
Yes, that sounds about right there. And Castillo's still with a 10-second penalty. Pashov has been in the pits. Most of our drivers have not gone into the pits yet. We haven't done a lot of talking about Kurt Peters, silver driver in P3. And I know we just talked about why hasn't Kurt Peters... you know what? I'm going to do a 10-second here because that seemed like a fun move. We've got, it looks like Haubin goes a little bit deep, and that allows Pashov to get through. So maybe not the most finesse-y move.
Yeah, and Pashov on new tires as well.
Yes, that does help a little bit sometimes. But yeah, Kurt Peters and I was going to say in Kurt 3, I don't know why, in P3, about to, is under pressure at the moment from Jorge. Garrett Bosman, not sure what happened to him.
Yeah, who did he tap? Should we do a 20-second replay?
Why not?
Oh,
is that Darren?
Yeah, Darren moving over, but I think got a little too antsy to get back behind Bosman there, so that's why we couldn't see any car directly around Gary there. But yeah, I think just a little over-eager from Darren.
And we're going to have to do another 20-second here. Do a 20-second replay for Jorge Esteban and Kurt Peters. As we've got these two drivers going down turn 1. We've got Peters on the inside and Jorge on the outside. Jorge getting a good release. And what happens here? So is Esteban going to the inside. Kurt. Oh, no. That was strange.
Yeah, it looked like Jorge was just starting to turn in a little too early, and Kurt was definitely still there.
Yeah, that just about looked like the case. And now, unfortunately for Kurt, he's got pressure behind to see.
Yeah, we know Kurt was able to pull away from Walters and some of the other Porsches behind, but now with that little bit of extra damage and maybe some slightly overheated tires from getting spun around, may not be able to replicate pulling away there, as we see a pretty mangled front end on that BMW on the right, letting some drivers by. I'm not sure who that is. Is that Aiden Stewart?
Let me go to the track map. That is number 19, Aiden Stewart.
As Esteban comes into the pits. I was not expecting that.
Esteban in. Oh. We've got a naughty boy. Johan. You've been going over track limits, buddy. That is a drive-through. One more driver. That is 3 so far, not even halfway into this race, with drive-through penalties.
That is unfortunate, not like what we like to see. But yeah, about Esteban going to the pits, I did speculate before that he may have been running lighter on fuel at the start, and may have been why he was so pacey compared to his other Porsche drivers. I wonder if that was indeed the case and why he is into the pits a little earlier than we typically expect.
Yeah, that could be it. We also have Castillo, I believe, going in. Haubin is going in to serve his penalty. Esteban, nope, that is a fake yellow flag. Don't believe it. As Nikinen has a bit of a rough line there. Esteban coming out of the pits, so they are completely fine. ACC TV is lying to all of us.
Classic ACC TV. If there's one thing it's good at, it is lying.
It certainly does like to give us panic attacks every so often. What do we have going on here? Gary Bosman has had a very good race after a bad qualifying. Up in 9th, second in the silver class. Hatisi, even after a drive-through, first in the AMs with Prevo about 9 seconds behind. So Hatisi having a phenomenal race for himself. Maybe looking at a promotion to silver if it keeps this up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we mentioned before he got the drive-through, served it, and still came out leading the AM class with a nearly 9-second lead over Bryce Prevost P2 in the AM class. So TC definitely showing some very, very good pace. As Gary, I'm sure, does not like seeing the got on the brakes hard and fell back, and is now caught back up to Gary Bosman and is now flashing Gary on the straights. So Darren with some serious pace, and I don't know if that move on the outside was intentional, and I don't think for Prevo, I don't think that was intentional either, but Prevo went very deep into T1, so those Ferraris may be forgetting what kind of brakes they have. They are not as effective as the Porsches, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I would be pretty confident in that statement as well.
Yeah, Darren just absolutely hounding the rear end of that BMW as we go to Leroy Simon, who is just a few tenths behind Johan Hauben. Simon, we know, has come into the pits already. Hauben has only been in for a drive-through penalty. So after Hauben does his pit stop, Simon should be able to reclaim that position. And Castillo also needs to pit. So I believe Simon, once Castillo and Hauben make their pit stop, should be net P3 in the AM standings.
Well, Castillo was, currently P3, has a 10-second penalty to serve. Hauben as well needs to pit. So Simon may actually be, if not leading the class, then potentially P1 or 2 over Hatisi and Prevo, who are currently leading but have not done their pit stop. So
Hatisi is in.
Questions. Hatisi's going in, so that is a question that will soon be answered.
And Castillo yellow flag.
Castillo.
Let's throw a quick replay on that. Castillo, what happened to you?
Castillo on the curbing. Castillo, what? That is, you know what? That is a unique spin.
I think it was when you were gone. I believe it was Hauben lost it on the inside curb of T9. So the inside curbs of some of these corners are catching some of these drivers out. I don't know if it is a bad bump that they're getting, or if maybe traction control is just not working as effectively and is causing the rear to spin out. But the curbs are proving a little deadly.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, that was just weird because, like, I don't know. It just seemed like they weren't going particularly fast through that turn. Like the fact that they were able to stick on the curbs that much. That was weird. The TC coming. They got me. They got me. ACC TV. Those rascals.
It is weird that it does that. I wish they could find a way to patch that.
Yeah, it would be nice, but what can you do?
All we can do is get jump scared.
Yes.
As Pashov in P9 gets past Prevost, Pashov still making his way back up after pitting about 15 minutes ago. So has been on those tires for a good little while, but are definitely newer than Prevost and some of the other drivers around. And Pashov is quite far ahead of Jorge Esteban, because Esteban had previously gotten past Pashov, because Pashov lost quite a few places on lap 1, but now Pashov leading by quite a margin over Jorge Esteban. So let me look at some pit stop timings. Jorge was stopped for 35 seconds, Pashov for 31. So not too big of a discrepancy, but maybe just the undercut really, really working for Pashov, I believe.
Very possibly, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what was happening here.
So it almost makes me think if Pashov took tires and has been able to pull out as big a gap, and he took tires so early, is he maybe thinking of a 2-stop race?
Nobody would ever do a 2-stop race.
I mean, you don't think, but
Steven, you are a fool.
he pit 20 minutes in and has to do the remaining almost 3 times of that time from when he pit left. I mean, unless he's going to be absolutely suffering on those tires at the end, I mean, I don't know if that's going to work out for him in the long run.
I mean, I agree. I don't think it's going to work out for him in the long run, but I can't imagine a second pit stop would somehow be better. Also, shout out to Simon with the Quebec Nordiques logo. Let's go. Yeah, that's a nice throwback. I didn't even notice that. We may even have ourselves a Canadian on our hands, as they had the Montreal Canadiens logo on the other side. So, hell yeah. Anyways, go back to your concern. It is more relevant, but
well, I mean, it's just an unknown. It's something we'll have to keep an eye on as Kurt Peters exiting the pits. And that's why he's showing yellow.
I was about to switch. I was gonna do it.
So Peters completes his pit stop, and Jorge Esteban does get past Kurt Peters with that as well. So Esteban was able to undercut Kurt there. Kurt, before the pit stop, I think was around a second ahead of Esteban, so that flips. And Halbin showing a yellow flag. We might want to go over to a replay for him to see Mr. Halbin with that is Simon there, both going pretty deep into turn 13, I would say.
Yes.
So yeah, just a little tap there, almost similar to what we saw a few laps ago from, I believe it was Darren and Gary Bosman.
Yes.
It might have been Prevost.
Yeah, it was Darren and Prevost, I believe, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just 2 drivers going deep, a little tap, no big issue there. But yeah, now Halbin nearly 2 seconds behind there, and that was for position in the AM class, so it might be looked at, but I also feel like it was such a small contact. I mean, more of a racing incident than anything, I would say, but I'm also not a steward.
I'd agree with you there. Here we've got a good fight between Richard Walters and Vigard Johansson, 2 drivers very hungry for a podium here, and well, Richard has shown, if I am remembering correctly, some pretty snazzy defensive driving capabilities in the past. So Johansson is going to have to put in some work to make a move happen here.
In DDO, has Richard... I mean, nobody up ahead is pit, right? No.
So Pashov is in 6th, and Pashov is pit. And Pashov is
the earliest pitter.
The earliest pitter.
Gotcha.
Esteban in 9th has pit. Esteban in 8th has pit.
And we have Brenham and Carl in the pits as well. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Brenham and Carl both in the pits. Okay, that is new. So that bumps Richard into first place here. Oh man, excuse me. I thought I got a decent sleep last night.
Reagan, with this race, how could you ever be tired? There is so much action.
There's been a lot of fun stuff going on. Oh, Oystein Brenham! Oh no, the humanity!
What happened?
Thank God. Oh my goodness. Oh, Trevo! Oh no! Oh, okay. Okay, we're okay. Oh man, that was scary for a moment. Oh no! Oh. 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 Oof. Okay, I'm calm. Everything's okay. Our drivers are not crashing.
That was decently funny.
There's nothing funny about this, Stephen.
About yellow flags.
About yellow flags.
I mean, all of these yellow flags for drivers coming out of the pit lane, it reminds me of I think the very first race I might have done with Bez Racing. I don't know if you were there, Reagan, but it was summer of 2021. It was oh my god. It was a wet Barcelona race, but they were experimenting with having a safety car. And so Victor was in a GT4, but he was parked at the end of the pit lane. And so every time you would go by, it would tell you that there was a yellow flag. And the crew chief would always be like, every single lap, there's a yellow flag at pit exit, like, be careful. And everyone was like, turn this off. Like, this sucks. So every time we see a yellow flag for a driver leaving the pits, like Gary Bosman here, it reminds me of that very first race I did with Bez.
That's fun. That is a fun story. All right, I'm done. I swear. I'm not just going to keep yelling in there. There's only so many times that can be funny, as we see here Scott Brewer trying to make a move happen on Kurt Peters.
And this is surprising because Scott was so far down earlier, and now he's fighting with a driver. Oh, no!
Oh! And that is a real yellow flag. That is Scott Brewer going into Kurt. We're gonna have to watch the replay here. Let's maybe go to the helicam.
Indeed,
what that can show us.
Yeah, I was gonna say Scott fighting with Kurt, who was previously the overall third place sitter. Was not expecting that from Scott, but we've seen that kind of move a couple of times before that we mentioned, but none have ended as disastrously as that with Scott getting into Kurt. Kurt able to continue, not too much of a time loss, but yeah, Scott definitely a little bit of damage. And Nicholas Castillo, did he lose it at T14?
He might have lost it at T14. Yeah, I was about to make a joke, but no, I think that wasn't pit exit. That was the back straight. It seemed like with Scott Brewer there trying to go down the what became the inside. The turn just was a little too sharp for him to make it at that speed because Kurt also didn't left enough room, but that was an odd one.
See, I'm telling you, it's that inside curb is really catching. I think it might be all Porsches have been the ones to suffer from those inside curbs and spinning because of them.
Yeah, we've seen that happen quite a few times today. Which is certainly interesting. Kurt left enough room, but just barely. So it was a very tight window for Scott to try to stay inside, and already having his turn kind of compromised by that sharp line. Just a bunch of factors coming together to make those two drivers come together.
Indeed. I guess I haven't looked at the gap between Brenham and Carl all race just because there hasn't been that much action up front. I did not realize that Carl was almost 20 seconds behind Brenham. Brenham absolutely running away with it up front.
Yeah, that is true. We've got Simon going for a move here on Castillo. Castillo, the only driver outside of the top. He left a pit, and that is...
Everyone at turn 13 is just getting hit.
Yeah, that's a rough one to see there. Going back to a replay, seeing exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think it's going to be almost exactly what we saw with... I can't think of it. It was... Why am I blanking on names? Yes, those two. But now both drivers spinning. So we've seen it all. We've seen two drivers coming together and nothing happening. We've seen two drivers coming together and one of them spins. And now we've seen it where both spin.
Yeah, it's the full collection. As we've got there's Richard Walters getting past Simon, I believe.
And Brennan with the fastest lap, a 43.1, only a 10th off of what he did in qualifying, is wild.
Jesus. Do we, like, what? What are you doing? What are you doing, man? Your Skechers. Stop it. Just stop. Man, so fast.
Man, indeed. Yeah, Carl last lap of 44.5, so nearly a second and a half slower than what Brennan was able to do. That is crazy pace.
Find me a driver who would be unhappy with a 44.5 on race pace.
Oh, truly.
I guess it would be Brennan. That's the one. And, I guess esports drivers, and I'm sure there's others out there.
And the AOR leaderboard guys that do 41s.
The point stands. Most drivers would be pretty darn happy with a 44.5 race pace. I'm sure Carl was pretty happy with the 44.5 race pace, but just not quite enough. I mean, we're not even mentioning that Carl is 16 seconds ahead of Pashov. On its own, a very, very impressive gap, who on Pashov's own is now 13.5 seconds ahead of Esteban, which is a bit surprising because that was a fight at one point.
That was indeed. So yeah, Esteban just absolutely flying yet again, as he was doing in the first stint. But yeah, Pashov, I'm not sure where this huge gap came from that he was able to create, because yeah, he was kind of floundering in the beginning of the first stint, but now he is right back to where we would have expected him to be.
Yeah. Yep. As well, in the background, we've got Castillo, the final driver outside of the top two left to pit, is in for his pit stop. So outside of Walters and Johansson, the positions we're going to be seeing soon are those net positions.
So the race starting to take its final shape. Most gaps are pretty wide at the moment. The closest we see is Hatisi, less than 2 seconds off the back of Simon there.
Simon with a little bit of damage.
And
Hatisi also has
some damage, and it looked like was going wide there. So don't know if Hatisi is going to be getting another drive-through potentially at some point during this race. But would be unfortunate.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the big questions left to answer, is how many drivers here are going to get affected by drive-through penalties. I mean, right now we've got Nordell and Pashov with big gaps to each other. So in terms of race pace, there isn't a lot that's going to be happening to affect that pace. As we see Johansson going in, Castillo with a fake yellow flag there. I won't yell anymore. I'm sure your ears are tired. My voice is tired too. But yes, Johansson going into the pits. Richard now remains the last driver who is yet to pit. We'll see if Richard decides to respond in kind. Kurt Peters in still a comfortable 7th place after their tangle. Was running in P5 net, I believe, so has stumbled a little bit after a crash, but still a very impressive spot for them once again in front of multiple pro drivers. We have Johansson yellow. That's
pit exit.
He was in the pits. He was in the pits. Oh shit! Whoa, we got a double dipper of drivers. Scott Brewer and Laguerre Simon both having to go through for drive-throughs. As we watch Scott, you know what, Scott, we're gonna watch this is the walk of shame here.
You mean the drive of shame?
The drive of shame, yeah. Boo.
Don't you
Stay
mean
in track limits? Boo.
Don't you mean Brewer?
Brew. I feel like if you're saying brew, that's like a good thing, Like it's in hockey, there was a goalie, Roberto Luongo, and they would always go Lou. So that's not a boo. They're not booing, they're looing. That's what they'd say. So I don't think they deserve that. This is just a good old-fashioned boo.
I still think it should be a brew, and we have Marcus Murray, esteemed
Stewart with a drive-through penalty. You slut.
Oh, okay. That's one way to refer to a driver.
Yeah, Aiden, please don't be offended. I apologize if I offended you there. You're not a slut. You're just a driver with a drive-through.
Oh man, well he's a slut for track warnings, you could say.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man,
track limit slut. You so and so.
And
The
yeah,
gaps are
Marcus.
still pretty wide, so this is what we've got to watch.
Yeah, Marcus, I really don't know what you have joined. Reagan, I feel like, has gone off his rocker. He was talking about curry that he made earlier. I don't know if he
It was a
spiced
really
it with
good curry.
some sort of illicit substances, some special herbs, you could say,
Yeah, it was
might have
a
gone into that
sausage,
curry.
chickpea, and magic mushroom curry.
Mmm.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that last ingredient at the start.
Yeah, I mean, in the kitchen, it's so easy to mix up the regular mushrooms and the magic variety. Oh, Aiden Stewart, yellow flag. What happened to him?
Oh no!
Aiden!
Special oregano. I keep them in the same container just for funsies.
You never know what you're going to end up with. Could just be a flavorful herb. It could be something else. Reagan, I do feel like you're going to have to change your usernames across all platforms to be Special Oregano.
Well, it's normally original oregano. Special oregano is not bad. What is bad is that line from Darren Chan. But Nikon here in 8th place. What were we talking about? My name.
And being a slut for track limit violations.
Yes. Well, speaking of being a slut for a good first race, we've got Nikon in 8th place, rookie driver. First race with Bez, and 8th is a very solid position to be running in. Big gap to Kurt Peters, but definitely a race to be happy about so far for Kari-Matti Nikkonen is my guess for the pronunciation.
I think that's as good as either one of us is going to get today.
We've got Richard Walters, last of the drivers, into the pits. We'll see where things shake out here. Looking like 6th place, 7th place, lost out to Kurt Peters. This is a bigger drop than I was expecting. Richard may have, as he goes yellow. Oh, what's happened to Richard? Oh, nothing's happened. But going long.
He went too far in his pit box. He had to reverse.
Oh, no.
But he was also
puts the R there.
Yeah, he was also stopped for quite a long time, so I don't know if he had damage. I also wouldn't have expected him to take tires so late in the race, but maybe he's going for ultimate pace and is now going to be trying to just track down as many drivers ahead as he can. We'll have to keep an eye on the lap times that Richard is able to put in.
Yeah, that's a very good point because he's got a 5-second gap to Kurt Peters, 2.5 seconds up to Jorge in 5th, and a 12-second gap after that to Vigard. So if the new tires and low fuel are enough for him to start setting some proper lap times, 18 minutes left, that's still a good, 8 laps, maybe 8 laps, 9 laps left for him. If he can set some solid pace, then that might be enough to jump him into 6th, 5th place or so. But also requires an overtake or two. So big hill to climb for Richard Walters, who was at one point running in 3rd place.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at how many drivers have fallen off, and the ultimate strategy that did work out for Pashoff, because we're 18 minutes or 17 and a half minutes left in this race. And Pashoff, Vigard is slowly maybe catching up to Pashoff, but Pashoff really making this very long stint on those tires work. That very early pit stop he did seems to be fine. I know we were, or at least I was, very concerned about it earlier. I don't think he's going to have any issues as we come to these final laps.
Well, yeah, Pashoff does have a 3.7 second gap to Vigard behind, but last lap was a 45.7, and for Vigard it was a 46.8. So Vigard not showing the pace at the moment necessary to make a stab or to take a shot, I should say, at P3.
Wait.
So Pashoff, as you mentioned, might be a very, very good position at the moment.
Yeah, I put it up on the screen. I was confused at what you were talking about because I was like, I see that Vigard is a second faster, but no, it's the other way around.
It's the other way
Pashov
around.
is a second faster than Vigard. So yeah, Vigard not going to be able to compete for that overall podium if Pashov is currently carrying on with the pace he is right now.
Oh, did you say currying on?
It kind of sounded like it. It was not intentional.
Mhm.
Just
Well,
a tired voice from a young man who should not have a tired voice.
Aren't we all? Yvonne here in 13th. Yvonne is going to be kicking himself. I mean, I don't think he can be kicking himself. I can't remember if the incident at the start was his fault or not. It was so long ago that I just remember the consequences rather than the event itself. But 68 seconds stationary time for Yvonne after dropping to the back. So recovery drive not necessarily in the cards for him. 15 minutes left. It does look like he has a shot at P12, but a points finish in that pro class is looking less and less likely. So a race to forget for Yvonne here, even with the chance for an overtake.
Yeah, definitely a bummer for Yvonne getting or I was gonna say getting tangled up in that lap one incident, but ultimately I think was probably the cause for that. Again, we'll leave that to the stewards, but yeah, definitely not the race that he would have wanted to have because he's been pacey. He's started well in qualifying, but yeah, just a little over eager trying to get past Kurt Peters on that first lap. And I wonder if that's why maybe Kurt fell down a little more, if he was repairing some of that damage.
Let's see. Kurt did have 33.2 seconds stationary, so more than the minimum required. So some of that time very well could have been the damage from that turn 2 incident. But always hard to say. We don't get to see everything that's going on for every driver. We try our best, but stuff is always missed.
In DDO, it's almost like we aren't professionals or something, which I know is surprising, but...
Are you telling me that Crofty would never call Max Verstappen a slut?
I'm saying I don't think Crofty would freak out about a yellow flag every time someone left the pits.
Well, that I wouldn't say that makes him professional.
It just makes him a slut.
It makes him a slut. Yes, you heard it here first, folks. Crofty is a slut. Speaking of sluts, Darren Chan with a second drive-through penalty.
Oh no.
Yeah, Darren is going to be dropping back in a very competitive AM class at the moment. Currently running in P3 in the AM class.
Or P4.
P4?
Because Hatisi is all the way up there.
Oh, wow. Yes, Hatisi with a fantastic race. Thank you for the reminder. Yes. Darren is going to be dropping back at least one spot. I believe Aiden Stewart, 84 seconds back, is not going to be a threat here. Darren Chan, oh no, okay, he's fine.
He didn't even lose a spot.
Didn't even lose a spot.
Castillo got closer, but yeah, Darren's still in P4 overall for AMs.
Yeah, wow. That is impressive. Yvonne has dropped back here. He was up to 0.2 seconds.
Yeah, he was very close.
Oh, speaking of, we've got Prevo going for a move here. This is for position in the AM class. Prevo going around the outside, but Simon is fighting back. This is a good fight that we're seeing going into turn 2. Let's see who is braver on the brakes. It looks like Simon trying to go a bit wide to get a better exit. Let's see if they are able to make a move here. It's going to be tough, and I believe that is simply a nice overtake for Bryce Prevo up in a P2 in class.
Yeah, it's a very nice move. We like to see that this late on. As we were saying before, Yvonne Yeah, it got back up to just a couple of tenths behind Gary Bosman, but it fluctuates. But yeah, right on the rear end, BMW to BMW right now. We might see some German on German action coming up in a little bit. But we will definitely be keeping an eye on this battle, not necessarily for overall position. Gary would still get the same points if he finished here or behind Yvonne, but Yvonne is definitely going to be, well, at this point, Yvonne wouldn't be getting any points because he's outside the top 10 overall.
Outside the top 10, yeah. Yeah, this is not a pointless battle because there's a lot of fun to be had. That's, of course, the whole point of this. We're doing this for fun at the end of the day, so I'm sure Yvonne would like to get the move done, but I'm sure he's also aware that there's a lot more at stake for Bosman than for himself. He is going down the outside here. Bosman not wanting to give up that spot without a fight. Also want to mention we'll be switching over soon enough to the fight between Richard Walters, Kurt Peters, and Jorge Esteban, because we do have a little bit going on there. Tiniest of contacts there. Yvonne, it looks like might be able to make this move stick. Bosman's still not going away, but that is a hard turn to hold around the outside, and Yvonne up into P12. A nice nifty little move, and we jump over to a fight that is a little more important. Something has happened here. It looks like, okay, Richard Walters once again on turn 1 has gone deep, which allowed Kurt Peters to make the turnaround, but Richard on the inside for turn 2, and we've seen it time and time again. The inside is where you want to be. Richard Walters has finally made it stick against Kurt Peters. Kurt down to 7th, Richard up to 6th.
Yeah, very nice move for Richard. Definitely some very contactless racing compared to what we've seen previously in this race. Now has 2 seconds ahead to Jorge Esteban, and let's do a little comparison between those two drivers in terms of pace. So Richard last lap about a second, a little over a second and a half faster than Jorge. So within 1 or 2 laps, Richard should be right on the rear end of Jorge Esteban there, and might be fighting for P5 overall. Ahead of that, Jorge is currently 11 seconds behind Vigard in P4, so I don't think Richard is going to have enough time to make it up there. But yeah, with that kind of pace difference, I wouldn't be surprised if what we were talking about earlier with Richard taking tires, if that was true, so that he could fight for some of these positions.
Yeah, that is a big pace differential there. 44.6 is the fastest lap that we've seen of any driver at this point in the last laps, as we have Castillo
and Chan coming together?
Very possibly.
And that was for position because Castillo was about 2 seconds behind Chan after Chan served his second drive-through of the day. Chan goes a little deep at turn 2. Castillo riding that inside curb, which he's spun on one of them at turn 14 before. And Darren goes a little wide at turn 3, and Castillo sends it up the inside. A little contact, nothing major between those two.
That
but
was a neat little move.
That was indeed.
Like that. Yep, that is a fun move there, Castillo. 3 seconds left on this replay before we can see, I believe Gary Bosman went to yellow. I'm not sure what for. It's far enough back. I don't think we have... I'm not sure how far back we'd have to go for the replay on that, but he was just showing yellow a little bit. No harm, no foul, as far as I know. Where is Bosman right now? Where is Bosman? Bosman lost 2 positions. Wait. Bosman, that was harm and foul for Bosman. What the heck? Bosman was harmed and fouled.
Right, because he was fighting with Yvonne just a couple laps ago.
Well, he's lucky that we didn't catch it soon enough, I guess. Damn.
Yep. Well, at least in his class, he did not lose any positions. He will keep his 3rd place silver position, 3rd out of 3 silver drivers. So a guaranteed podium for our silvers today. That's nice.
Yeah, it certainly is. And honestly, we've seen Bosman. He's shown up to basically every race except for 1 or 2. And because we've had relatively low attendance in the silver class this year. Lots of attendance in the AM and pro class. Oh, we've got to jump over. As much as I would love to keep watching that fight between Castillo and Shan, which has gone back and forth, back and forth and back. This fight here is a little more pressing. Well, that's not true. That was a fight for fourth in class, and this is a fight for sixth, for fifth in class and overall. So I shouldn't discount the importance of that fight between Shan and Castillo. But that being said, Richard Walters, 0.3, 0.2 behind Esteban and ready to fight with those new tires.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring up Jorge's last lap one more time. So you can see the sector-by-sector breakdown. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no, Richard. Oh,
that was optimistic.
That is a true yellow. And I believe Jorge has gone yellow. We've got, we'll just watch it here. That was not cash money of Richard Walters, I believe, but we will see on the overhead going around the long sweeping turn 5, going into the chicane. Richard tries to send it down the inside, and sends himself into the grass and sends Jorge up ahead. It looks like Jorge was not too perturbed by the incident getting by Gary Bosman there. But it does mean that Kurt Peters back into P6 and
closer to Jorge. Yeah,
1.2 seconds. That is unfortunate to see, as Richard had been having a pretty good race, and poor strategy and a bit of bad luck on the pit stop, I believe. Having a reverse sent him back into 7th. And the recovery drive was looking fun until this moment. We've got here, that is Darren doing the same thing, sending it. You know what? Let's see a little 10-second replay here. Looks like, Castillo trying to send it down the inside, but recognizes just how slow he has to go to make it stick. And you know what? Good on Castillo for recognizing how slow he had to go to make it stick, not trying to send it harder than the turn allows for. So this fight here is still quite nutty, as we've got Aiden Stewart has had a little bit of a spin.
Mimicking what Castillo did earlier, I think, losing it on the inside curb of the final corner.
Yeah, very common spot for our drivers to be going off. We'll keep an eye on that delta with Kurt Peters. Richard may still be able to make the way back, but all depends on how the tires are feeling. So let's see what happens here. Castillo has dropped back a bit, letting that driver by, but Darren will have to do the same thing shortly.
And up front, we mentioned after the pit stops that Carl was 17 seconds behind Brenham. That gap is now 36 from P1 to P2. This is a Max Verstappen-esque drive from Mr. Brenham, just leaving everyone in the dust. No second thoughts about anything, just absolutely decimating the field.
Yeah, certainly. And you know what? Call out for Carl Nordell as well. 23-second gap to P3. So Carl is putting up some great times as well, just not quite enough to be competing with Brenham. So really good driving from our top two. Great driving from second and phenomenal driving from first.
Yeah, it's almost like we need 3 tiers of pro drivers. There's normal pro. We could have pro for Carl, and then pro for Brenham.
We've got another drive-through. It's Castillo fighting hard and fighting maybe a little bit too hard with Darren Chan. So that is going to be the end of this fight here as we know it, unless Darren decides to get a drive-through themselves.
Well, he just served one a few laps ago, so I'm not... I would be surprised if he got 3 track warnings that quickly, but yeah, definitely a bummer for Mr. Castillo. Should still be able to keep that P5 in class overall. Aiden Stewart nearly a minute and 40 seconds back of Mr. Castillo. Is Brenham someone in disguise, possibly alluding to Max Verstappen? He might be. At this point, I would not be surprised. We know Max Verstappen is an avid sim racer and quite good. Oystein Brenham could just be a pseudonym for Mr. Max.
I wouldn't be too surprised at this point. Well, Stephen, we got a minute 30 left. It's your first race back in almost, I believe, 2 months. How are you feeling about what we've seen at Hungaroring today?
It's definitely been spicy. I was sad to have missed a couple of wet sessions while I was gone, but even though the race was not wet, we were still getting some very close racing here today, sometimes too close, where there was no space in between the cars, which led to some incidents, as one Chuck Leclerc might say. But yeah, overall, I mean, some decent battles. I'm glad, we're sitting here with 45 seconds left and still seeing a fight for position potentially between Jorge and Kurt. So yeah, good battles, great pace from a lot of drivers. I'm glad to see some new faces in the session compared to when I was here a couple months ago. Yeah, just need to clean it up like some of the previous races that we've had and minimize some of those incidents. But who knows? Maybe it's the nighttime visibility making some of our drivers go a little nutty with these overtakes.
Well, I think the real problem is that you've returned to the stream, because things were pretty okay in the last 3 races. So I'm guessing your presence here on stream is just sort of angering some of our drivers and causing them to take some more aggressive moves than they normally would have. So shame on you, Stephen, for commentating here today.
Yeah, maybe they just became enraged after I pranked you with those really long and really short track walk videos.
I mean, I was livid. I kicked one of my cats after that.
Oh my god!
Just to help kind of get rid of some of that energy. So yeah, it's too bad. They're getting their balls chopped off in a couple days.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, good for them.
So they will not be sluts anymore.
Well, I mean, they could be if they wanted to. It's just the balls.
Oh, but it gets rid of all the hormones.
I guess it does. Yeah, you're right.
What also
they
has
still have that slut energy if they wanted to. Also,
yes.
Brenham won. Good race for Brenham.
I was gonna say someone else who has that slut energy, Oystein Brenham.
Oystein Brenham with a dominant win. Once again, great race for them. We've also got Nikkonen and Scott Brewer, 2 new names, 2 solid performances there. Carl Nordell, 40 seconds later, comes across the line.
Hey,
we also have Kurt Peters. Whoa, 0.3.
Yeah, where did this come from?
Where did this come from? This is a race 4 position. Kurt pulling out all the stops, flashing Jorge, trying to get a move done. Let's turn off the autopilot because that jumped me away from the helicam, and that's what I want to see. Right on the back, only 1 turn left. Are we going to see a last-minute dive? Not quite close enough to make it work. We'll see if Kurt is able to get the run off the line, but I don't think he will be able to. That is a fun fight to the finish. But Kurt Peters ultimately in P6, Jorge Esteban in P5. Yeah, Johan, hope the kid's okay. Sorry to hear that. Oh, wow. Yeah, really hope everything's okay there.
Yes, same here. In that final corner, I was almost wondering if Kurt was going to give Jorge a little bit of revenge, because it was earlier in this race at turn 2, Jorge sent it up the inside of Kurt and got Kurt turned around a little bit. So I was wondering if Mr. Peters was going to be fighting back from that incident, but some good level-headed driving from him. I'm glad he didn't cause any last-minute drama. Well, and I mean, he got P1 in class anyway, so
I'm sure Kurt's not too choked up about this victory in the silver class.
Yeah, and we talked about the dominance of Brenham over Carl, but I am doing some quick calculator math right now, we need to talk about Kurt Peters and how far ahead he was of Macy in P2. Kurt Peters was almost 80 seconds ahead of Macy in P11 overall, but P2 in silver. So an excellent drive from Kurt Peters. Could have been even more without a couple of hits here and there for Mr. Kurt, but yeah, very good drive from that silver driver.
Agreed. And same thing for Hitisi, almost 25 seconds ahead of the next AM driver, Prevo. So lots of dominant performances to the for our top drivers. Alvin, oof. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, does not sound good, but glad he's on his way to the doctor. But with that's what I was thinking as well. But with that, we are at the end of the race. I think we can go ahead and begin wrapping things up at the correct time this time. We are not ending the stream early to lead up to Coda. But Reagan, any final thoughts about this race or things you're looking forward to for Coda in 2 weeks?
Well, you know what? Like you said, this was a spicy race. Certainly quite spicy. Lots of questionable driving, overtake attempts. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Coda is also a very technical track, one that is not easy to make moves on and easy to navigate at all. So we'll definitely just have to see what happens on track in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, lots to look forward to then, and to see how our drivers navigate one of the newest tracks in the game.
Absolutely, and definitely one that it's easy to get some track limits warnings at as well. So we didn't see, I feel like, too many drive-throughs today, like maybe 3 or 4 of them. So less than I think I was expecting. Still a decent number, but we might be seeing around the same number, if not more, when we arrive at the Circuit of the Americas. So definitely will be interesting to see. I've told Reagan, but I am moving in a couple of weekends, so I am going to try to make it for that stream as well. Otherwise, you will be in great hands with Reagan and the Steven chatbot.
Yes. Well, you know what, chat? I do have a confession before we go. I lied to you this entire stream. This is not, in fact, a Steven chatbot, but this is the real Steven. That is a live human on the other end.
No, Mikey, that was so not right.
I know. It was rude of me to lie to you all, but yes, that is in fact Steven here. So the chatbot, if there is one 2 weeks from now, which hopefully there's no need, will not be quite as sophisticated as what you heard today.
Indeed, it has been me this whole time. I don't even know how many people were on stream when we made that announcement, like but for those that
one of them was me.
For those that were there and heard it, the joke has come to a conclusion.
Or has it?
Or has it indeed?
Maybe I'm the AI chatbot.
That would be
wild.
That would be wild. I would be absolutely shook if this whole time I was talking to an AI chatbot.
Yeah, Reagan's been off gardening this whole time.
Or making some new curry.
I've never eaten curry in my entire life. Are we still on?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And hope everything's okay. Hope you get some good news from the doctor, and I guess we will see all of you hopefully over at Coda in 2 weeks' time.
See y'all in a couple weeks. Bye.